Hi everyone, Rick here again with Rick's 1/35 scale models with a little tutorial on antennas. I've had a lot of questions from different people, and so I wanted to talk about what I do, and then in the process I did a little bit of more research and found some other techniques I liked. So let's talk about it. Antennas are on pretty much all vehicles from World War II on. You're going to see something, and then the military antennas come in all different shapes and sizes. You can buy the real fancy ones that go on the back. They look sharp, but they're kind of pricey. Or you can do the old school style of taking a piece of plastic sprue over a candle and pulling it out. And you can go to the point of buying wire. Some models come with it, some you have to go buy it and put that in. Or another technique I just discovered and loved and played with and I'm very happy with, so I'm going to go with that, is taking guitar string wire and creating an antenna with this. So I'm going to sit down and talk about all these different techniques, how you go about it, and you can decide what you like best depending on the situation. First of all, the plastic style. Using a piece of plastic, you can make a wire and you just basically heat it up and pull it to the thickness you like. It seems easy, but there's a little bit of trick to it. You've got to have it the right temperature so it's the right softness. You've got to pull it the right speed. You've got to hold it till it dries and hope it doesn't break or you don't move it and bend it. Once you do it, it looks sharp. You can actually create different sizes, such as on this older build I did. It's big on one end and small on the tip. The problem is you bump that, it breaks real easy. So you're constantly breaking your antennas and having to re-glue them on. Then you start getting these little white spots and it just looks horrible. So when I first started doing this, I got into that. Then I started building some other kits, saw the metal, and went to that routine because I don't break antennas anymore. The only problem with that is you always have down here on the bottom a little spring. And how do you make the spring? Well, there's some different ways you can go about that. So first of all, let's demonstrate how to make the plastic version. Okay, so you have your candle. You just take your piece of sprue from the model you just built and you start heating it up, and you'll start seeing it gets a little soft. Now if you pull too early, it'll break, but you want to do that. Let it sit for a couple seconds and dry. Once it's cooled down, there you go. Now from here, you can take and cut it pretty much whatever length you want. Now technically I've got two here. I can cut in the middle, and now I have my antenna. From here, if you want to have your spring, you can kind of create it by cutting it toward the end, and there's your antenna. It looks kind of like a cat whisker. They're real flexible. They look sharp. You can get the right size depending on how you pull it, but like I said, the only problem is they break or bend and then they never really quite go the same. What usually happens is right where you glue it, that's where you'll bump it and snap it off. So it works great. It's cheap and easy because you always have an extra sprue, but it's fragile. The next way, which is pretty simple and easy, is you get wire. Now I do 1/35 scale, so the gauge wire I'm getting is 0.015. That seems to be about the right thickness. Once you get that on the vehicle, you'll get your vehicle with your antennas. You can also use it for other little devices you'll have in the back. Works out nice. It's real solid. You can bump it. The only thing about that is you've got to drill a hole. What I did is I got one of these little drills, and they work great. You just set it on the vehicle and slowly turn and drill. You can drill down into your spring if you're real talented and you can hold it steady, or you can just not have the spring, or you can create your own spring. Now, creating your own spring creates a whole challenge. What I've learned to do, and it works okay for me, is I take some kind of modeling putty, take a little bit get your spring out however long you want it. You're going to take and cut it a little longer than you want it. Then you're going to have two ends, obviously. One end's going to go into the model, so you're going to want to penetrate down into your model depending on yourself. I usually go down about a centimeter or two, so somewhere in this area. So up in this area you're going to want to create a spring. Now what I've learned to do is I take a little bit of the putty and just roll it onto it, and then what I'll do is I'll let that sit for a few minutes, and then just slowly but surely kind of move your finger, and you want to create a little roll effect like that. Let that dry, then you can kind of clean it up this area here as it dries, or let it dry completely. The thing here is as you roll, and that kind of you're simulating the spring effect. Once that dries, you basically drill your hole down into the model and drop it down in. There's your spring. The putty holds on really well. The Tamiya brand does real good. I've also used the Tester brand. It also accomplishes the same thing. But that's one of the ways I do springs. You can also take this once it completely dries, and if you're really delicate, you can slowly but surely use your X-Acto knife or something similar and create little notches inside to create the effect of a spring. But generally, for my eyes, this works out great. The next way, which I just discovered, was using a guitar string. Now, I looked at different strings. They've got 22, 24, and 26. This is a 26. For me, this seemed about the right gauge. The wire inside looks to be about the same diameter as the wire I was using before. It also has about the same strength level, so it should have enough flexibility to where it moves when you bump it, but yet be stiff enough to where it won't bend or break easily unless you really force it. The nice thing about this is you get somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 feet or so of it, so there's a lot of antennas you can make. But it does involve some challenges. So going about that, what you first have to do is figure out about how long of an antenna you want to make, kind of the same process as before, and you're going to take and trim it off. Now, I watched another guy on YouTube do this. I'm going to post his link here so everyone knows I'm giving him full credit for this. I hadn't ever seen anybody else do it. He's the first one, so I'm assuming it was his idea. I don't know where he got it from, but it was impressive. Then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of figure out down here where your spring's going to be, and you're going to protect it like so. Then you're going to sit down and slowly pull your wire out to where you get the piece coming out, and then just pull it down. The idea here is to unravel it to about the length you want. So for penetrating into the model, that's about how far, and then you're going to take and trim it off, kind of roll it around. Now you have to do it on the opposite side. Now this obviously is a lot longer run, so once again, grab it down here, grab the tip, kind of without cutting the main wire, pull it out, then you'll get it out coming out, and then just pull it down slowly but surely. The nice thing is you're going to get this wire here. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm also looking at what other things can I use it for, because it already has a little bit of a curve, and honestly, it looks a lot like ribbon wire. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking this and winding it up and creating a ribbon wire roll that I'm going to put on the back of a model in eventually future for something that's been deployed. But like I said, always look at how you can utilize things later on for other projects. Now as I'm getting close to where I want it, I'm going to start carefully pulling. Unwinding it the right way. I'm looking at a little on the long side still. So, about right there. Now, nip it off. Take my future project wire and put it aside so I don't lose it. And you're going to kind of want to clean the little edges up. Roll those in the right direction. And there's your antenna. You've got a spring on the bottom. Once that's inserted in the vehicle, you can cut the length on the top to the desired height. It doesn't give you the multi-stage size you want, but it still has that same good flexibility. It really looks like the right size. It actually looks a hint smaller than this wire. It may be the same size, but then the difference in color is hard to tell. But now you have a spring. They do make larger scales of this. I'm not a guitar person, so I'm by far not the expert here, but I like the size and it looked about right for me. So you can do that. Now if you want to create a two-tone or a multi-stepped spring like some of them have, what you can do is as you pull the wire off, then drop it down a little bit and try and wind it back down. With my eyes, that's not going to happen for me, but obviously, if someone was really dedicated, they could sit down and slowly wind it up. You could definitely create that good spring effect. But anyway, that's my little tutorial on how to do that. It comes out real good. I'll post these gauges of wires I've been using. If there's any other ideas anybody has, please let me know, and take care.